Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good day, or good week, whatever the case may be. On behalf of my Uncle Dorkel, myself, and everyone, are you ready for another episode of my Uncle Dorkel? I'm sure Uncle is ready. Oh yeah. All right. Well, someone had asked about, his son, which he's described in his other videos, and somebody had also asked, well, he probably was married. I'm going to let him tell you all about that. He's told me the whole story, of course, but we had many coffees and sitting around the table and many old-time reminiscing and so forth, even though he was basically a stranger to me for over 50 years. Nevertheless, I do remember a lot of his things that he did when I was a little kid that he told me he did throughout his years back then. So I'm not going to waste any more time with my chattering. I'm going to let my uncle here, I'll let him tell in his own words.
Hello everyone and welcome. I am so proud to be here today. As a matter of fact, when you get my age, it's great to be anywhere these days. You're probably wondering, was I ever married? I must have been, you probably figure, because, well, I had a son named Hakbar, who's 82 years old, as I have told you. I was married 8 times in my 112 years. Yes, 8 times. I outlived most of my wives, but a lot of them, they just didn't like being around me after being married to me so many years. My first wife, I met her, I would probably say about 1920. Of course, I was 20 years old, And she was about 19. And she was a good-looking lady. Good-looking. She stood about 5'6". Oh, she weighed probably, I guess she probably weighed about maybe 110 or 112, somewhere around there. She was a little on the thin side, but she was nice. We were married. I would say our relationship lasted, I'd probably say a couple of 3 years or so. When you marry young, you're not grown up mentally yet. And, when you get married too young, well, we still wanted to, I still wanted to sow my oats. So, being at age 20, of course, I started logging, as I had mentioned to you, at age 15, when I was only a woodpecker. And, by the time I was 20, I was pretty well experienced in being a woodsman. And, you know what, I'd be logging and everything else, and dropping the trees, and dropping other things too on the side. That one ended in the divorce. My second, oh, by the way, her name was Mary. My second wife, I got married, I would probably say, I must have been, I waited a few years, I would say about 27 when I met my second wife, and her name was Beulah. I never liked the name Beulah, but I didn't want to hurt her feelings by telling her that I didn't like the name Beulah. But she was a good-looking gal. 'Cause I was 27 thereabouts, give or take a few months. Anyhow, she was, I guess she was probably about the same age. She stood about 5'6", just like the other one. And she weighed about 473 pounds. What the hell did I ever see in a woman that weighed that much and that large? She was so damn big and wide that I had to take in my cabin. I lived in a cabin in the woods, you know, before I moved where I am now. And I had to take the 2x6s tree trunks that I cut down into 2x6s on the door casing. I had to remove a half a foot of that so she can get her big ass in there. I insulted her one too many times and she told me to take a hike. But that marriage only lasted 6 months. Yeah, so anyways, about a year later, I met another woman and said, well, maybe I'll give it another shot and get married again. That'd be number 3. Yeah, number 3, her name was Anna. And, let's see now, I was, the other was 27 to this year. That year I got married, I waited a few years. I was about 30 years old before I married this one. And she was 18. And she stayed with me for 5 years, believe it or not. And we had a good life together. And but the only problem is, she didn't know how to cook. You know, when you're 18, you know, a lot of them, even back then in those days, most of the young women there, they were supposed to be taught by their mom how to cook. Well, this one didn't know how to cook. And I remember bringing home some snake and possum. And I asked her if she would fry these up in the pan using lard, and she said she's not going to handle that disgusting stuff. And you know, I said, all right, I can understand you don't want to cook the possum and all that, but then I went out hunting. You know, I did some hunting too. You know, I wasn't always a wood chopper, and I came across a skunk. A skunk, yeah. And a skunk, yeah. And I said, skunk, that sounds... Skunk sounds pretty good to have for a meal, so I went out there with my shotgun and I killed a skunk. And boy, did it stink. Well, after I cleaned out the smell bag and took that out, I brought it into her and I asked her, why don't you cook this? I said, why don't you cook this up for me? Because I haven't had skunk in over 10 years. And I said, this sounds really good. I'll tell you, you know, these young ones, they just don't appreciate good food. You know, the rest of them, you know, there's a long story about the rest of them. I lost track of what one that was now, but anyways, all my wives basically left me, Because I was doing more than just wood chopping. I was doing more woodpecking than anything else. And that's all I'm going to tell you now. But I did want to share some of my past experiences with you. So, hey, take it easy and don't do anything I wouldn't do. And if you do, please don't name it after me. Thank you very much, everybody.
Wow. My goodness. You were a Casanova when you were a young man. Boy. Yeah, I guess he's run out of words to say. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. You know, there ain't many guys that can come up with, have a life like this. You know, that, I'll tell you. And he's got a lot of stories to tell, but it's going to take time, and I don't know if we can get him in before he goes back home, you know. But anyways, I want to thank you all once again for watching this series called My Uncle Dorkel, and Uncle Dorkel and I thank you very much. You have a good day, and Uncle, thank you very much. Oh, you're welcome.